Hello everybody, and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearance of the Week. This is Wednesday, October 12th, 2022. We'll be giving you all the first appearance in your comic shops today. Now this week we have another big video for you guys. I think we have 8 first appearances, 10 honorable mentions, so 18 titles in all to go through. Definitely some books in here you guys want to pick up for your collection. So let's go ahead and get started for the first appearances of the week, ending October 14th, 2022. First up from DC Comics, Batman Urban Legends number 20. This features the first team appearance of the Murder Club. Now with this Batman Urban Legends title series, we mentioned this before. You know, this is one of the secondary title series or B title series for DC Comics. This is not one of their tentpole series or one of their more heavily collected series. So, you know, DC has to do something spectacular with these new first appearances of new characters or these teams that they're introducing into this particular title series. If they bring these new characters or these new teams into other title series that are more tentpole title series, such as Detective Comics or Batman, Action Comics, Superman, any of those title series, these characters will have a little bit more importance going forward. But when they introduce these characters into secondary title series, and that's the only place you see them, they're not really going to be all that important going forward. So this one here, like we said, it really depends on what DC does with this character. If they bring them into other title series, make a bigger deal. They bring this character into a small screen, big screen project, it'll be a bigger deal as well. So this one here is going to be a little bit more speculative if you choose to pick it up. It may be worth doing so for a cover price, but in our opinion, we think you have some time on this one, so put this one here on your B-list for now. Next up from DC Comics, Batman Incorporated number 1. This is the premiere issue of a new Batman Incorporated team led by Ghostmaker. This is also the first appearance of Black Mist, a member of Batman Incorporated. This is also the first cameo appearance of Sky Spider. Now this one here does have quite a few first appearances, and this is the premiere issue of this new Batman Incorporated title series. You know, the Batman title series, they typically do pretty well, and whenever they bring an offshoot or a B series for Batman, typically the premiere issue does okay going forward. But once again, it really depends on what DC does with this franchise, does with these characters they're introducing into this title series. If they bring them across other title series to make them more important, that'll be a driver going forward. If they include them in a big screen or small screen project, that'll also be a big driver for them. But if they only stay in this particular subset title series, they're probably not going to be that big of a deal going forward. So this one here is going to be a little bit more speculative if you choose to pick it up, and maybe we're doing so for the cover price. So grab this one here if you can. If you can't, though, put it on your B-list. We do think you have a little time on this one as well. Next up from Marvel Comics, Black Panther number 10. This features the first full appearance of Buffalo Soldier. Now we typically say this with all these Marvel titles, it's a good idea to pick up the first appearance of new characters in Marvel titles. You know, Disney, Marvel still churning out a ton of media. You know, they're a powerhouse. So you really don't know where any of these new characters that are being introduced in the comics, where they're going to end up. If they appear on a small screen, big screen project, you know, that is a big driver for these characters going forward. So this one here, we do think you should probably pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from Marvel Comics, Namor Conquered Shores number 1. This features the first appearance of Old Man Namor. Now, this is definitely a subset title series from Marvel Comics, Namor Conquered Shores. This is the premiere issue of this particular series. Namor is not necessarily one of Marvel's most heavily collected or most popular characters, and this is the first appearance of Old Man Namor, so this one here may not be as important going forward. But you know, some of the other Old Man characters that Marvel has introduced over the past few years do have a collector base, do have a fan base, and those comics do trade for a premium in the secondary market. So that being said, this one here may be worth picking up for the cover price, so go ahead and grab this one here if you can. If you can't, though, put this one on your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Marvel Comics, Star Wars Visions number 1. This features the first appearance of Ronin in comic books, introduced in Star Wars Visions The Duel episode. Now this one here, we definitely think you should pick up for your collection. You know, any of these Marvel published Star Wars titles, these are books you want to own. You know, Marvel, Disney is still churning out a ton of media for the Star Wars franchise. Whether it's TV shows, streaming series, or feature films, you really don't know where any of these characters are going to end up, you know, so it's definitely worth picking these up for the cover price. Go ahead and grab this one here for your collection. Next up from Marvel Comics, Venom number 11. This features the first full appearance of Sleeper Agent, the sleeper symbiote with Hank, a new host introduced in Extreme Carnage Alpha. This also features the possible appearance of a 7th Venom. There was a cameo in the Free Comic Book Day 2002 Spider-Man Venom number 1 as a pair of disembodied eyes mentioned in Venom number 10. Now this one here, once again, this is one we do think you should definitely pick up for the cover price. The Venom franchise, incredibly popular, huge fan base, huge collector base, and this features the first full appearance of Sleeper Agent and the possible appearance of the 7th Venom. You know, the Venom franchise is still going really strong. The feature films are doing very well in theaters, and this features the first appearance of some new characters. You know, you really don't know where these characters may appear. If they appear on the big screen, that's going to be a huge driver. So go ahead and grab this one here for your collection. Next up from Marvel Comics, Star Wars The High Republic number 1. This features the first appearance of Vildar Mak, a Jedi. This also features the first appearance of Mathia Cathli, also the first appearance of Tay Serik, Also, the first appearance of Sunshine. Actually, there have been over 12 first appearances identified in this issue, so we won't go through all of them. But this here is Phase 2 of the High Republic. This is set 150 years before the first volume. Now, we mentioned this before. Any of these Marvel published Star Wars titles, incredibly popular, hugely collectible, and these are books you want to own in your collection. And this is Star Wars The High Republic #1, featuring at least 12 first appearances of new characters. This is one you definitely want to add to your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. And finally, from Marvel Comics, Ghost Rider #7. This features the first appearance of Exhaust. This is also the first team appearance of the Shadow Hunters, an FBI splinter agency led by Talia Warroad. Now, the Ghost Rider franchise, incredibly popular, huge fan base, huge collector base for this franchise, and there's been a lot more eyes on this series lately, so this is one we do think you should probably pick up for your collection as well. There is a first appearance of a new character and a first team appearance in this one, so go ahead and grab this one here for your collection. And now for the honorable mentions. From Mad Cave, A Legacy of Violence #1. A doctor experiencing past memories begins to wonder if he is on a fateful path that has been created by a serial killer. Now, we mentioned this with any of these small press or indie publishers. If they're optioned for big screen or small screen projects, that is a huge driver for these title series. So most of these small press issues that you want to pick up for your collection, you're really just speccing on the fact that they will be optioned in the future. Mad Cave hasn't had a lot of their titles optioned in the past, but that doesn't really mean anything for the future. Hollywood is still looking into all these small press publishers for ideas. So this one here is definitely going to be speculative if you choose to pick it up. Like I said, Mad Cave hasn't had a lot of their titles optioned in the past, so that adds a little bit more to the speculation on this. But it might be a good spec bet to pick it up if you can. If you can't though, put it on your B-list and keep an eye on it. Next up from Boom Comics, Approach #1. Travelers snowed in at an airport become first responders to a plane crash, only to discover that the aircraft had been missing for 27 years. Now this one here sounds like it lends itself very well to a small screen or big screen project, and Boom Comics has had a lot of their titles optioned in the past, so this one here is definitely a contender for the future. This one here is a speculative bet. If you choose to pick it up, like I said, you're just specking on the hope that this will be optioned in the future, but like I just said, this is a great contender for a TV show, feature film, or streaming series. This is a great spec bet in our opinion. Grab it if you can. If you can't though, put it on your B-list and keep an eye on it. Next up from Black Mask, Destiny New York, Halloween Special #1. Now this is the Slice of Life fantasy series. It's returning for a Halloween special. It features 2 new feature-length stories about a girl fated to die and a barista given a dark prediction. Now we included this one here in the list just because it has been getting some attention, but this one here is definitely speculative. It's probably one of the more speculative titles on the list today. So this one here, you definitely want to do a little bit more research on this. Keep an eye on it. We do think you have some time on this one though, so put this one here on your B-list for now, but like I said, keep an eye on it. Take a look at it later on. Next up from Blaze Comics, Far Cry Esperanza's Tears #1. Now this is a comic book series set in the world of the video game franchise Far Cry. Now we mentioned this before, any of these comic books based on video games are set in the world of some of these video games that are incredibly popular. These comic books do very well. A lot of these video game titles are not really heavily purchased when they come out, so 10 years from now there's not going to be a lot on the market. So this one here, once again, it will be a little speculative if you choose to pick it up, but in the past these video game comics have done pretty well. So in our opinion, this is probably worth picking up for the cover price. Go ahead and grab this one here if you can. Next up from Image Comics, Hitomi #1. Inspired by Kurosawa and Tarantino, this saga follows the trials and tribulations of a young female warrior who travels to the countryside to gain the rank of samurai. Now this one here sounds like it can lend itself very well to a small screen or big screen project, and the fact that this is inspired by Kurosawa and Tarantino, and it features a young female warrior who goes to the countryside to become a samurai, this has all the key components that Hollywood's looking for right now. So in our opinion, this one here is a great spec bet to be optioned in the future. Grab this one here if you can. If you can't, put it on your B-list, but definitely keep an eye on this one. Next up from Sumerian, Sarah Lone #1. A young woman with a rough past finds herself caught in a destructive spiral after the brutal murder of her father. Now, Sumerian hasn't really had a lot of their titles optioned in the past for small screen or big screen projects, so this one here is definitely going to be speculative. The storyline itself does lend itself well to a TV show, streaming series, or feature film, but like I said, Sumerian hasn't really had a history of having their titles optioned, so this one here is definitely going to be speculative. Pick it up if you can. If you can't, though, put it on your B-list and keep an eye on it. Next up from DC Comics, Batman vs. Robin #2. This features the origin of Lazarus Pitts. Now, once again, with DC Comics, it really depends on what they do with these characters. If the first appearance of the characters is important, much less the origin story. This is the Batman vs. Robin title series. Once again, a subset title series for DC Comics, not one of their tentpole series. And this features the origin of a character that we really don't know the importance of. So this one here, we do think you probably have some time on. Keep your eye on it, but put it on your B-list for now. Next up from Marvel Comics, Amazing Spider-Man #11. This features the reintroduction of the Hobgoblin, possibly a new character wearing the mantle. Now, we always say this with these Spider-Man titles. You know, Spider-Man is probably one of the most popular characters in the Marvel Universe. So this one here, we definitely think you should pick up and add to your collection. You know, this is only the reintroduction of the Hobgoblin, but if there is the new character wearing the mantle, this is one you do want to own. So in our opinion, this one here is worth picking up for the cover price. Go ahead and grab this one here if you can. If you can't, put it in your B-list and keep an eye on it. Next up from Marvel Comics, Daredevil number 4. In this issue, there's a significant key moment that occurs in the relationship of Daredevil and Elektra. This is hinted at in Daredevil number 2. So this one here is definitely going to be speculative. We really don't know what this key moment is between Daredevil and Elektra. It may not be that big of a deal, or it could be huge. So for this one here, we do think you should do a little bit more research before you pick it up. If this key moment that occurs between these two characters actually changes the characters going forward, or changes their relationship permanently, this is one you do want to own. And if not, if this is just a hook in the solicitation to get people to buy this particular book, this one may not be all that important. So this one here, do a little bit more research on it before you choose to pick it up. And finally from Marvel Comics, Wakanda number 1. This features the origin of the Black Panther, historically those who held the mantle. Now this one here we do think is probably worth picking up and adding to your collection. You know, the Black Panther franchise is incredibly popular. People love that character. They love Wakanda. And this features the origin of the Black Panther historically and all those who held the mantle. So this one here is probably an important piece of Wakanda or Black Panther history or mythology. So this one here, in our opinion, is probably worth picking up for the cover price. Go ahead and grab this one here for your collection. So there you have the 18 titles that we have for you guys this week. Definitely some books in there you guys should pick up for your collection. So please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.